Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here with you, and it's the kick-ass trade of the week. And I brought back the kick-ass trade of the week last week. We started off with 3M. So the plan is probably every Monday, every Friday we'll put out the kick-ass, or actually I didn't put one out this week and I ran out, so we're going to put it out today. And actually, because of the situation, I am continuing to hold on to the 3M and continue to use this as my kick-ass trade of the week. Now, we got in at 5 days last Monday. It basically has just gone sideways. We kind of dipped today, but we saw some reversals in it. And, the market has been in a kind of a stall here. I've been going over some things, but you could actually see the 60-minute time frame came down, got a little oversold, and we put in a 60-minute divergence because we made new lows, we made new highs on the stochastics. And we got a little bounce at the end of the day. This is 60-minute time frame. So that candle right here where we were selling off, we reversed and pushed a little higher. So we came back into range. And I'd watch this very closely tomorrow. If we could actually break above 167.50, this thing should start to gain some momentum and that would be an hourly setup. And the daily is just about oversold. Not quite, but remember, we've been seeing some of these names start to turn back up, and when we have a turn back up on the stochastics, that is as bullish as it gets because it's going against the grain. Normally we're getting an upside move, downside move, upside move. The stochastics are measuring out unless you get a little extended selling here, but a move back up, and it made sense to see a little move back down. But again, we're paying attention to this underlying trend line here. So unless there's bad news out there, I would say that this line right here that goes all the way back to last May, back to November, to January, we broke through it here, retested it, failed, came back, chopped around it, started to establish itself. I am a big believer that those trend lines continue to go on. The algorithm still search for those points in the past, and the price reacts to that. So once we start to react to it again, that's more data that's going into these, and it's almost causing this line to become stronger instead of seeing it way down here and say it's no longer valid. But actually, it is valid. So we got through it, and we came back down to it, and we tested it again and pulled back. Then we got through it again, came there, tested it once, tested it twice. A break above, a move higher here, and this is the daily. A break above the previous day high, especially this area up here, 168, will be an extreme buy signal for me. It's a small pivot area. It kind of moved up here. We were actually doing pretty good, and then it pulled back today and kind of ended like this. So you do have this small little pivot, but this pivot, this area right here, that high, I should say the high there, that's what we're concerned about. On a bigger picture, I feel like you could, start to look at a higher high from yesterday's price, the level we talked about. Let's go back to that and break this trade down, because I've been adding to it. I have stuff in this, but I would also look for that strain to come in above 167.50. So 167.50 would be the level I'd watch for this thing. We'll probably get a good feel if it is trending for the day. Sometimes let's go back on a 5-minute, and let's see when this thing starts to trend. It closed high, it kind of moved back up. Right now, it's pretty much sideways. But I'm looking for this to pop tomorrow, break out of those levels. The 5-minute looks good. The 60-minute looks fine. And the daily, that's what we have to concern ourselves with. That's why this will be extremely bullish. If this starts to turn back up and we break out the previous day highs, that would be extremely bullish, and that would hold that 20-period moving average, that would hold that trend line. All these things would come into factor. I've seen these stocks run after that type of support holding. But we have to have one more day of positive activity, and again, I would love to get it through this whole consolidation, but I would almost take the the 167.50 area to add to more positions here, and we'll decide what the strength is like live here. And talking about live, show's going good. If you're out there, anytime during the day, we're broadcasting live. We're covering these markets, trading live. on DayTradingRadio.com. I'm also streaming on YouTube. So if you go to the DayTrader, you go to the channel that you got this video on, and you go to it during the day, anytime you'll see us trading live. So join us on there. Feel free to ask some questions, or come over to DayTradingRadio.com and support us and get in the site. We have a custom dashboard. We deal with all of our indicators that we're dealing with. When you hear about the tradeometer, or you hear about the look at this. I'm actually dragging this stuff over here, showing you different things. This is the bot that's active overnight. And then I'm going to go over here, back over to this chart here. But we have a bot, we have the tradeometer, all that here for members of Day Trading Radio. So please support the site if you find benefit out of these videos and education. So 3M continues to be the kick-ass trade of the week. Tomorrow is a big day for it. I would like to see this start to turn back up again. If we don't, then I might even consider, if we break down through this underlying trend line, maybe bailing on this. But you have to have some patience on this. The market has been flat, chopping around. We're going to the SPX now, a fast little bonus. We're holding above the 20-period moving average. We're kind of drifting here a little. You can see the volume on the options expiration. You were holding the 20, and that's pretty positive. The negative on this, there is kind of a gap down here at 29.38. There is a nice gap, and we don't usually see these gaps left unanswered, unfilled on any of the indexes, especially the S&P. So there's a lot of concern back there. If we get a pullback there, I would say, hey, yeah, it proved itself once again. So if it continues to move higher, I'll still have that gap in mind. So almost it's better to retest it. But if the market does come down for some news, I'm sure it's going to put pressure on all our picks. Even the kick-ass trade might not be able to wade through the any bad news in this market. So all bets off into news, of course, right? Into news, all bets off. And all right, so there, I fixed the back on the video also. So looking at the flag that's built in here, it's not a textbook flag. Sometimes you'll get a fast rotation and it's holding between the 20 and 50, closer to the 20. Those things are really good to buy. I think if you're going to go higher, this is going to turn higher over the next couple days. If we start to lose this momentum, it's probably going to be because of some type of news out there, because it's been holding up here, and there's been a lot of news out there. So there's going to have to be something a little bit more severe to knock this market off of this. It's really trying to fight here. And, like I said, kick-ass trade continues to be the 3M, but all bets off if there is China news that falls apart, or, just something that kind of that shakes up the market. Just remember, that is a unknown, a landmine, something that we can't prepare for it half the time. But look at this. Here is the 5-minute oversold, and 60-minute just got oversold. So if we get that little move up here on the S&P, it'll be interesting to see. Could you look up Mofrucker looking up? Excuse me. In the chat there, I'll put this live on the video too, because you want to be in the chat. We were talking about. I was looking at this one. This is an old setup. We actually were holding here. Popped up. Check this out. That big candle got us overbought. You remember, there's a couple things I always talk about. Following the stochastics, understanding the power of those. They're measuring the momentum. And actually, stochastics are measuring this candlestick and where that price is closing. 0 represents 0% at the bottom. 100 is the 100% mark on the candle. Most people don't know that. So as the stochastics, and we're plotting that line, that moving average. So we're looking back how many periods. In one case, maybe it might be the 14.3 or the 9.3. 14 and 9 are the periods you're looking back, and that's all plotted, and it's so this is actually reading into the momentum that you can't really see on top, but the internals are telling you something. So with the stochastics here on Aviv here on the daily, it's already turned back up, and it's actually quite bullish, as you can see here. But going back over here, I just wanted to actually show you something. When you get a bullish stochastic, you tend to look for an upward bias in the thing, even if it's having a hard time. But once you get up there and you realize, wow, that wasn't really a big move, I'm going to hold on to it. Probably this getting up overextended pretty fast, and no movement in the stock really. No really big movement in the stock where you could go from here. This is like move from 152 to 175, you know, and that's from here to here. Now you got a fast move. Let's say it never got to the bottom, but I know what I'm talking about here when we talk about the levels. When we get up to these levels and we get overbought, the odds are of a pullback coming is much greater. When it starts to stay embedded, it will continue to grind higher. I have a rule for that. Excuse me, a rule for that. But that's not in this video. But the important thing we're looking at here is when we get up there, we have to understand there's probably a good shot there's going to be some pullback in the stock. And in this case, because it really didn't really get any traction on this, the pullback was much bigger. Now we actually dropped down to 200, started to move back up. So the momentum now on the daily is on your side. Absolutely, that's one thing I can't argue. I can't argue that at all. So we're going to put some trend lines in here. I see a little trend line there, a lower trend line. Hard to pick. The one I'm paying attention to right here is this. We tagged it here, we tagged it here, tagged it, broke down. We're retesting it right now. That is usually the first level resistance, but we're not up here yet. So it could use this as resistance and push back a little on it. We could put a parallel trend line in here.
Tradeometer, yes, you are bought.
Oh my God, what time is it? 6 o'clock. That's what time that is. The market's back open and we're taking off. Live coverage tonight. So that's why I like to use my measured move. So if we get maybe we get the price up to there before it gets overbought. That level is 152, and if we got a little bit higher here, just take a guess. I mean, typically I'll see this run into a brick wall here, but let's just say it's 152, maybe 158, maybe 160, maybe 160 by the time we get up there. That would cap off this move with a trend line, an overbought stochastic, and a chance to move him back down. That's what I'm looking at on that. So let's watch that over the next couple of days. I'll write it down. VEEV. It does look pretty good. It's kind of getting extended here on the 9.3, and we're at that resistance area. I hate buying into this area, which was once support, and it broke down, now resistance. That's actually a great trade off the 200 period moving average. It's a fantastic trade. Typically, then we have a channel forming. The 200 goes through it. Eventually, you get up here, maybe comes down, falls through. If you ever get it down here underneath the 200 on this lower trend line, that is one of the best top 3 HPS setups. It's one of the top 3. So I mean, it's a very rare occasion that happens, but when it does, it works great. Maybe I could show you an example and just kind of extend this video a little bit more. Let's see here. 200 EMA. I don't know if I'm going to have it. Images. Oh yeah, I have a lot of images. So weird. I'm just looking on my computer. Yeah, I don't see anything. I know it's on here, but Windows has changed up so much I can't even find anything on my computer anymore. So the futures are now open. We're up 5 points on the futures right now, and the futures are actually making new highs on the day. I've been hearing some news coming out overnight. We'll be here with you until the rest of these. I'm going to get this video out, though. I just tell you to tune in every single day to Day Trading Radio. We'll be live. And there's the bot here active right now, so you can come on the show and watch it overnight if you like watching that. And come during the day if you want to hear me. Or anybody else. All right. See you in the markets.